Welcome back to the Idea Supply Chain. We used to be the channel that figures out where ideas come from and what makes them valuable. Now we're telling you ideas are coming from here and they are valuable. And we're doing it live. So if you want to get the most up-to-date information on what is valuable in the world right now, tune into our live show. But in case you missed it, here's the recap. I am your host / Professor Leo. And Yeah, it's been a few days. I was planning on streaming from Austin, um, but then I didn't get a chance to, for a lot of reasons that I'll get into on today's stream. As always, we are waiting for LinkedIn to connect. It'll be a few minutes, but eventually they'll catch up, and it'll be fun when they do. Um, but yeah, I need to send links to people. This will all be automated because otherwise I forget. And that's one of the great things about automation. If I can set it up to automate, I don't have to worry about it. And also, I can't seem to rename the stream because that's just not an option in Riverside anymore. They changed the interface. And unless it is hidden somewhere that I have not managed to find yet, I have absolutely no idea how to change the name of my stream. So this is like oh wait, but no, these are different. Oh, I can do neat things with, I'm sorry, I'm playing with stuff. Apologizing to an audience that's not on here yet, so that's good. Let's see. Yeah, I still don't know how to. Oh wait, recording info. Nope, that is not it at all. I would love to be able to rename my stream Riverside. Okay, I am not entirely thrilled about that. Anyway, I guess we'll go worry about that later. Let's see. So today's topic is Mimetic Marketing Monday, Mortem. Post-mortem kind of, but Mortem was more in line with the alliteration. So hence the Mortem, which you would notice if I could actually change the name of the stream, but I can't. So it's bonus Saturday friendship episode. Again, it's Groundhog Day again. But the topic of today's stream is kind of the Austin operation. We had worked to set things up a certain way, and like many operations, it went absolutely not according to plan. But that's okay. Learned some things, got some great ideas, and more importantly, had some incredible experiences with some friends, old and new. So yeah, overall, I mean, Austin was a success, just in the exact opposite way of what I had hoped for, and more importantly, planned for. So here is the recap in a nutshell. Basically, I had originally planned to go down to Austin. We, a group of friends and I were attending a conference down there. That, it was, we had a connection to one of the speakers and thought it was a good time to go down and meet some folks. And so we set up a bunch of things that were based on the idea of being able to get my buddy up in front of an audience to talk about friendship for about 5 minutes and, invite people over to an Airbnb where we were hosting an event, had a beautiful event set up. And then we were planning on doing a couple different things. And so I was kind of going to play it by ear, but I had an idea around the human game and kind of just some things around that, and then an idea hackathon. And so it was all based on kind of like we understood the failure point to be the fact that we had this Airbnb that was apart from the event center. And we had attempted to get a spot in the lineup from the organizers because we thought it was an important topic, and we believed that it was important to make sure that people knew about the event and were willing to kind of make the slight trek over to the house because it was further away from the venue than like kind of any of the other things. And unfortunately, the organizers of the overall event wouldn't agree to give us any time. And we went back and forth with them from a number of different levels. And they told us to host a small group. So we did host a small group. And, but then we talked to the guy who had told us about the event and invited us to come and, asked for like the last 5 minutes of his session. Because it was important to kind of mention friendship. And the session came and went, and he didn't call my buddy up to speak. He ran out of time and just decided to kind of roll with it. Which is fine in the sense that like it was something that he had the ability to say no to, and this was perfectly clear from the start. But the problem was that everything kind of hinged on this key point of failure, and kind of depending on the announcement to really give people the energy needed to make it from one event to the next. We were listed in the event's app space. They encouraged small group meetups. So we had a listing there. We had something like 20 RSVPs. So we knew that there was interest in the topic of friendship. But we knew it was going to be a lift to get people to go from this space to another, because it would have been a lift for us. Like, we recognize this to be the case. Unfortunately, that wasn't mentioned, and it wasn't. And so we're like, okay, well, and we talked to the guy afterwards, and he mentioned that he would come and kind of help spread the idea, because he was the one who was connected to the event space, like, and the people, like, more than we were. We were kind of relying on him to be our connection into the network that was this conference, right? So with the conference attendees had a specific network, and there were all sorts of relationships that were already pre-existing in that community that we didn't have. And so we were really hoping to bank on his relationships that had already existed. And as it turns out, that wasn't something that we could rely on. And so it ended up being the single point of failure. All right. And we have Lobau in the house. So yeah, we were, we planned on this being the biggest point of failure, and we relied on somebody that it turns out just it wasn't quite in alignment with us on their importance in the plan. And so that part was eye-opening, because it was one of those that we had plans for what that was going to look like, and it didn't turn out. But in the end, we did have a couple people come over from the event, and we made a couple new friends, and it ended up being an incredible night because there was no losing. And that was kind of how we set it up, right? And this is something that I talk about with the power of friendship. When you get a group of friends together, it doesn't matter what the ultimate motive is. Sure, there can be a goal, some outcome desired, but there's no downside to being in the same place. Oh, it didn't go according to plan. Cool. Like, we're just going to hang out. We're going to shoot the shit. Like, we're going to have a good time. And you know what? The people who show up get to have all of us. And I believe they had a great time, and I saw some lives transformed in different ways. And that's what we were trying to share with people, right? And it was a bit of a disappointment that we didn't get to quite share it on the level that we wanted to with the group, at quite the scale that we've got. Um, but we got to share it with a couple people, um, and we got to see each other, and ultimately that was the biggest fucking win of it all. Like, it was a way for us to kind of just come together and hang out and, you know, work on these relationships, because this is something that I've realized is really important. Um, we have to kind of, it's something that, social media has really taught me lately, and then this whole experience is kind of reinforced, is it's really hard to know where you stand with people. If you don't occasionally, try things out, make requests. And this is things, I've asked on Twitter, I've asked in person, and, sometimes you ask something and it doesn't go through. Um, and, with friends, it does. And that's something that I think, I'm really focusing on, like, friendship in terms of reliability. Um, you could probably put that as like the R in like an acronym like Spark or something like that. Somebody should do that, trademark that. Um, but so no, this idea though of being reliable and being able to um, give people like when somebody asks you for something and you agree to it, you don't always know what else hinges on saying yes. There were a lot of things that we put in motion that all kind of hinged on this one little point. And in that moment, sure, it wasn't individually, it wasn't a big thing. But as a part of a collective system of a larger push to spread this idea of friendship, right? And to attach this friendship ecosystem onto kind of this conference. Um, we weren't able to like make that connection, and it unfortunately kind of broke the whole system that we had planned. Which, that's part of chaos marketing. Actually, it's a perfect example. With chaos marketing, you you understand that things aren't predictable. Chaotic systems are by definition chaotic. Um, there are high points of failure. I look at it very much like a roguelike video game. So a game where you have high degrees of uncertainty, typically high levels of difficulty. The world is one in which it is just horribly stacked against you, and it's kind of this thing where you're constantly struggling against the world, getting more and more powerful, and kind of building yourself up in this game. And so I think that's very much like what this type of chaos marketing is like. And so you've got to go out and you've got to find out where the points of failure are in your network. Um, because that shows you which parts of the network are reliable. And this is something that you need to do in a chaos network. You need to figure out um, what things you can trust, because when everything depends on the coordination of a system, and this is what happens in a um, like a real-time information system like we live in. We live in this ecosystem that throws media down our throats 24/7. We're constantly being bombarded with messages. Um, when we don't have a way to like deliver these messages with certainty. Like the default reaction is to kind of just pepper the system with more messages. And then it's like nobody has any idea what's happening. Hence chaos. And then this is this chaos marketing. But what we want to do instead is we want to figure out what points of reliability exist within these chaos networks, so that you can build up connections to pass along information or uh, bits and pieces of a system that don't have to be well defined. The more rigidity that you put into a system, the more fragile it is. And this is actually true with technology. Like, if you're building a system with technology and you're kind of capturing some sort of mechanism in code, you are building out kind of this this contract to keep the system maintained and usable, and basically it's got all of these different requirements for letting people rely on it. And I think this is something we don't actually want to do nearly as much of, but it's kind of the default way. Instead, we want to give people tools that they can make quick, easy connections between people, have things pop up and disappear, and really make it harder for traditional marketing avenues to find them. Because it's like, I don't know about you, but I'm tired of being like blasted with marketing constantly. And I think part of it is kind of just getting off of these main media channels where people can dictate what attention we have. But then the other part of that is offering alternative media channels where um, you can send information that can't be like interrupted with advertising. And so what you have to do is you basically have to collect the marketing money up front um as basically like a proof of good intent, and then let the network spend the money to see what data that money being spent creates. And you use that in coordination with the marketing data that you have from your traditional marketing channels to get a more comprehensive overview of what is currently happening in the market. And we didn't have a marketing budget per se, other than kind of what was like volunteered from our group. I attempted to get sponsors beforehand, and unfortunately was not able to, which I guess, considering the turnout, probably wasn't a terrible thing. I don't, although that being said, with sponsor money, like, it's easier to do more fallback things of getting people's attention. And this was something I was thinking of different ways to do when it's I had ideas of different fallbacks we could use to get people from one place to another, given some sort of sponsorship budget. But when I wasn't able to secure that, then it really left us on just what we had. And so um, I do think that that will be an option going forward. And I am exploring some partnerships that will pan out. Unfortunately, it was just a matter of trying to do it on too short of timing. I that was unfortunately just the timing of everything. I've only figured this out too recently. So um yeah, okay. So that's kind of where we sit now. But the great news is that I figured out what we need next. And this might be the time to share a screen instead of looking at my face for the whole stream. Uh, let's go. All right, get this open and shared. Maybe. There we go. Share screen. And okay. So today it's ChatGPT instead of Claude this time. Exploring ChatGPT, I had to see what was up with the new the new image model specifically, and so one of the things that this model is apparently really good for, well, it's not apparently. I mean, it's definitely good for is generating images, but specifically things like infographics, and this is what I am kind of interested in. Like, I want to see how we can do this here. So this idea this whole experience gave me this idea for something called Friendship Training Camp. Yeah, and this like the I think that showed on stream, maybe. Yeah, okay, there we go. It's over my face. I'm trying to figure out how the stream looks. I've got one. My dog is also tearing something up. That's probably okay. But yeah, like we changed. We definitely changed lives, and it was obvious. Like it was so clear, and it was amazing. And I saw what real friendship meant, and that was kind of this idea behind Friendship Training Camp, because I realized that most people don't know how to be as good of a friend, and I didn't know how to be as good of a friend either until I met Lobao. He showed me what it meant to be a good friend, and he showed me not only by being a good friend, but he showed me what happens when you do that for a really long time and you do it at levels nobody else understands. You end up with a community of people around you who like will do anything for you. You have people who have your back no matter what. And all we wanted to do was help other people find that. And unfortunately, yeah, and so this this is kind of the problem, right? Like, and so we at the conference there was this focus on like, okay, well, here's this information is going to help you. This information will help you fix the problem that you've been facing, and that's really great. But like, it's really easy to know what to do and still not do it. That's the whole problem with a lot of issues with all sorts of neurodiversity. But the issue ends up becoming when there's just not support. Our whole thing was, hey, you know what? It's really about friendship. It's about having this support system that refuses to let you fail. It's about always having help when you need it. And it's about being a good friend to people. And unfortunately, like, that message didn't quite get through. And so we're going to do it a little differently now, because it turns out that people need it maybe a little more than we realized. And so that's the impetus behind Friendship Training Camp, and that is totally a thing now. And in fact, I'm going to start branding myself as a friendship coach, and I'm going to do this because I didn't know what it meant to be a good friend. I've typically been pretty like self-focused. I've had trouble kind of like keeping track of other people. Like, it's been an issue, and then life gets busy and you don't stay in touch. And I think a lot of that has to do with the systems that we live in. But also I got to see what it means to not like let that be an excuse. It's possible to keep in touch with everybody when you can barely use technology. Sorry, Loba, I love you, but I'm right. I have all this access to technology. I can communicate with people on any platform. And it's like, man, I have all this. I struggle keeping in touch. Well, it's not that hard when you actually, focus more on the people, it turns out, which would have been great, except then I wouldn't have been able to learn all these like 18 messaging platforms that now I'm overwhelmed by. So I've got that going for me. Maybe a Twitch too, or two. I don't know. It gets overwhelming. But I like it's one of the things that I'm focusing on as well. I've realized that like I've given and yes, I'm totally pandering to the audience that I've got here. I know my audience. It's but yeah, like I think that we can all do better. And I'd always been hesitant to call myself any sort of coach because like I find I don't know. I there are a lot of things wrong with that. But we made a new friend while we were there who has an occupation that I did not know was a thing. And that was something that like it's amazing what people need in their lives. And cuddle therapist is totally a thing. And it's an actually extremely helpful thing, apparently. And that makes sense. Like suddenly it was one of those things that was just really cool to learn about because I never even considered that that's a possibility. But I realized that we need help doing a lot of things right now. We have lost a lot of what it means to be human. We have, we've made a lot of this a lot harder than it needs to be. And so friendship training camp is a way for us to figure out what that looks like to make it easier for people. And I have been thinking about this a lot. And so we're going to try to create an infographic around here. I don't have much data in here about what friendship training camp looks like, but we'll go ahead and see what the image model will give us. Okay. Infographic about friendship training camp. There we go. Let's just see what we get here. I think it's a bit slow, so we might have to talk. Yep, there we go. We've got Loba. He had the emojis. Like we're good. Look at that. It's this is how we do it though. Like that's the great thing. Technology is cool, and we don't all have to know how to use technology. Some of us can, and some of us can't. It's all about coordination. It's all about working together. It's all about accomplishing shared goals. And it's something that we can do in so many interesting ways now. It was pretty cool to meet a few people in the city of Austin. Talked to quite a few people who, run businesses there, and just was chatting with locals. And then I wanted to, learn about the city and in different places. And it was just, there are so many cool people out in the world, and there's so many really neat things that we can do in order to bridge the online and offline worlds. And so, I mean, I gotta say, this actually isn't bad. I, for absolutely, no input other than the name of the idea, like that's not bad. We can get into some more stuff with that. But yeah, like this is something that people need more than ever. People need to know how to go out and make friends. We give people the ability to hide behind who they want their identity to be, and it's there's a trap that exists because it's yes, it's okay to be fully yourself, and it's okay to have different issues, and it's okay to like need different supports, but a lot of it can be helped if we just try to help people. And yeah, it's not always easy, but like one of the things about friendship is um we help people get past the things that are holding us back. Um and so I mean there we go. Like I still need to ride one of those scooters. I still have a healthy fear. One of these days. Maybe next time. Next time I'm getting on the scooter. Okay, I'm gonna commit to it now. Um but it's one of those things that we can help each other overcome the struggles that we've got. And I say this as somebody who used to be terrible at like going out and being like social, talking to people and sharing my ideas online and all of this. And now it's doable. And it's doable because I've had the support of friends. And so yeah, that's anything can be done with the power of friendship. And it's simply a matter of helping people understand. Oh, see, look at this. Now he's just scooting around all over. See, this is the problem. Like once a friend unlocks something, then they're just all over the place, and you got to try to catch up with them. But it's the first time for anything is the hardest. And when you have friends who are willing to support you in what your goals are, when you have friends who are willing to help you overcome the fears that you've got, when you have friends that are willing to step out on the ledge with you and help you simply by being along for the ride. There's so much that comes into all of it. And in the end, like, yeah, it can be hard, especially in today's world, because it's all weird, and we're taught to mistrust people. And in some ways, like, yeah, like people end up being fake, but you got to figure out who the real ones are. And as you figure out who the real ones are, like, man, that's when you start to have one hell of a time. And friendship training camp, we're going to find out who the real ones are. And I'm not going to fully commit to saying that there's going to be an on-site friendship event at some really cool location with all sorts of like really awesome events for the top friends in this whole friendship training camp program. But I'm also saying that that's exactly what I'm aiming toward as of today, since this is I've been in planning now for all of 2 days. But that's the overall goal. Where I'm shooting toward this is just a giant live streamed, think like Olympics level friendship event. Because fuck it, we ball. So that's what we're aiming toward, and that's what the marketing push is going to be. This is going to be a good chance to do a brand rollout around this. Part of what I want to do is be able to spin off these different brand marketing systems based on the same core values, but with like different messaging, different marketing, things like that. So this will be a good chance to test that kind of branching mechanism. And then I also need to finish the work with Gladia to get the transcription going and kind of live tweeting. So that's on the docket next. And we'll probably get into that for tomorrow's technical topic tutorial Tuesday or whatever I end up calling it. Bunch of T's in a row. And yeah, I think that's where I'm going to stop for today. I'm starting to get a bit of a sore throat. I talked for a couple hours on a call this morning, and now I've talked for a while on this stream, and I think it's time to give the old voice box a little bit of a rest. I talked a lot down in Austin too, because I found people who were willing to listen. And so I will take advantage of that when given an audience. I will talk. I will talk a lot. And in fact, you have to tell me to stop talking. Yeah, in fact, somebody did tell me to stop talking. And they're like, hey, I'm good now. Like, I love this topic, but wow, like, you've been going at it for a while and I just can't pay attention to that anymore. And I'm like, I respect that. I can talk longer than most people can listen. Actually, I can probably talk longer than anybody can listen. I don't know. It's close. But yeah, I think that's going to be a wrap. And yeah, see, the support of friends. So he was willing to go skiing. I respect that. I've been skiing one time. It wasn't great. Perhaps one of these days we shall ski. And I shall learn how to actually ski as opposed to rolling down a hill. And by hill, I mean Alp. Definitely one of the Alps. But yeah, that's I think that's a wrap for today. The throat is getting a bit sore. So until tomorrow, appreciate you tuning in, and I will see you on the next Build in Public University. Love y'all.